Hello, and welcome to Zeitgeist, where we talk about the psychology of the era, the science of games. I'm your host, Dr. Rachel Kowert, and today we're coming at you with a YouTube video. So I saw this going around my socials, and I haven't watched it yet. And OBS currently doesn't work on my computer. It's a whole thing. I'm working on it. So I'm going to attempt to watch this by sharing my Zoom screen, but it's called The Truth About Gaming: How I Wish I Would Have Quit Gaming Sooner. And supposedly it's got like Mr. Beast and Mila Kunis and other people in it talking about game addiction. If you've been here for a minute, or if you're new, hi, welcome. I have very clear stance on gaming addiction in that the science does not indicate that gaming in itself is an addiction. Are there people who can use it maladaptively? Absolutely. But the evidence points very clearly that it's a maladaptive coping strategy, and something else underlying is driving it, which is a very important distinction, because if we think of it from the clinical side and treatment, what we want to treat is the underlying depression or the underlying anxiety or whatever it might be. It's not the game itself. The game itself is actually a coping strategy, which may be serving as a bridge to get them to the other side to treatment. I want to do this video because a lot of people that I know and I respect in kind of the gaming and education space, less so the clinical space, because most of my colleagues in the clinical space really align with the scientific understanding and consensus that gaming itself is not an addiction. But a lot of people in the parenting and education space maybe have fallen trap a little to the moral panic. And I want to say it's understandable to want to think of it as an addiction. It makes it easy. It puts it in a nice little bow, and it's like, oh, that's the source of the problem, and that's easy, and I can understand that. Humans are cognitive misers. We love easy solutions to complex problems. But it's really doing a disservice in both understanding the psychological processes that are going on here to the people who are suffering in this space. And also it does a disservice to games and understanding what they are as tools, which are generally tools more associated with positive outcomes than negative ones. So we're going to attempt to watch some of this together. We'll see how it goes. Let me, excuse me, let me share my screen. Oh gosh, the phrase of the last few years. I hope it records. I hope it records the audio. I guess I don't know if it's gonna, because I've never done this before. I should have tested it. All right, here we go.
Video games seem like a bit of harmless fun. You're playing with your friends, talking, you're socializing. And on the surface, it looks like a positive thing. But in 2025, things have changed. Games are no longer like Tetris and Pac-Man. Modern games have been scientifically engineered to become addictive, so you don't want.
Okay. Games have not been scientifically engineered to be addictive. The image of showing like an 8-bit Pac-Man to showing, is this Fortnite? I think is meant to invoke in you that because has better graphics, it's more engaging. I mean, Tetris is pretty engaging with 8-bit graphics, not gonna lie. I was playing Super Mario World this weekend. Very engaging. Games have not been engineered to be addictive. They certainly now better understand human motivation. They better understand game design, and games have been designed to be more engaging, and that is a completely different thing. Addiction is a clinically protected word that is associated with a specific set of characteristics. I'm going to get on my soapbox. Watch my addiction video. Okay, moving on. It's only been 16 seconds.
And if you don't understand the hidden mechanics of why video games are so addictive, then you can be at major risk. My name is Cam Adair, and
just so you know, he's the founder of Game Quitters, which is a for-profit gaming addiction treatment program.
for the past 10 years, I've been helping thousands of gamers stop playing games so they can start playing life. And in this video,
I love that he's helping people. Don't get me wrong. Again, I want to clarify, I do think some people are using games maladaptively and they see games as the source of their problem, and going to seek professional mental health support is absolutely fantastic and the way to do it.
I'm going to reveal the hidden truth about gaming addiction that's affecting millions of people. People just like you and me. So stick with me, because today we will expose the gaming industry's darkest secrets through the very people who have experienced its darkest side.
Just for clarity, the video games industry is worth more than music, TV, and film combined together. The video games designers understand human psychology more effectively than anybody else on the planet.
Not more than anyone on the planet. Of course, they understand human psychology, but what they're talking about, or at least what my experience has been of the extent to which we understand psychology, is like intermittent reinforcement, which, comes from Skinner from like the 60s.
Early age, we were consumed by video games. I used to literally run home from school just so I could go and level up in RuneScape. I didn't care about girls. I wanted XP. I wanted money, all in the virtual world.
This is because human motivation is driven by three things, according to self-determination theory. Watch my self-determination theory video. Achievement, autonomy, freedom to make a decision, and connectedness. In RuneScape, what a great example. He was probably developing a sense of achievement from getting XP and doing things. He probably was getting a sense of connectedness. I imagine he was playing with other people. And also, RuneScape at the time was really a cultural touch point. It was probably the source of many conversations at school he's having with his friends. And autonomy, he had the freedom to explore this world. He had the freedom to go home. I remember running home to go play World of Warcraft because I felt like I didn't have that sense of autonomy or that sense of accomplishment in my day-to-day life. Did that make it inherently a problem? Was there something inherent about the game that made it problematic? No. No. I went to spend my time there. It gave me the fulfillment that I needed. I think the way that they are using their language in this video is very specific and meant to evoke a certain sentiment without the context of what's actually happening around game design and human motivation.
I was playing computer games online all night. I was winning major competitions, but inside, I was struggling. I couldn't stop, even though I wanted to. I'd start playing the games with maybe all the intention was just to play for an hour and a half or something like that, and then I'll head off to the club and go to practice snooker. Problem is, if you're a super competitive person, you know, I can't walk away from the computer with a defeat.
If he's a competitive person, right? Hinting at individual differences in which the way people are engaging with games as tools.
Get on a good winning streak before I can leave the house happy and then go to practice. It's like a gambler trying to finish on a win or something.
It's not like gambling. Gambling is actually a recognized behavioral addiction from the American Psychological Association, and gaming is not. Just saying.
People get a really good winning streak.
I disturbed him.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, hello, and he'd be, what is it? I don't think he realized at the time the effects it had on everyone else around him.
And I'll be playing for like 18 hours straight. And to me, it would only feel like 3 hours.
Of course, playing for 18 hours straight is not ideal, not good for you. It would feel like 3 hours. He's probably alluding to the sense of flow. You may have had a similar experience if you're reading a good book where you sit down for a minute and you wake up and not wake up, you look up and 3 hours have passed. It's because games are engaging. It's not because they're addicting.
And the next minute I know, you know, like the birds are tweeting outside and it's starting to get quite light. The sun's coming through and I'm thinking, oh my God, I've got to go to bed.
I have been the guy that played a lot of video games. I have been the guy that tried to combine playing video games with real life, with being productive.
Video games are real life, y'all. Come on.
Working towards my big goals by only allowing myself to play 1 hour of video games in the evening after all my work was done. But when I was working during the day, when I was being productive, there was constantly something in the back of my mind that was telling me, I cannot wait to play that.
Maybe he needed stress relief. Maybe he was burnt out and overworked. Maybe the games provided him a sense of comfort that he looked forward to all day. It's all about the way that this is being framed. And again, you know, if you were to show me the compelling scientific evidence that games are inherently addicting, I would sit there and I would read it. But all of the evidence is to the contrary. It's not shown to be chronic. It's shown to be episodic. You know, I'm sorry. It's frustrating. It's frustrating.
I cannot wait to unlock this thing or to discover this new thing in.
Yeah, maybe also his work was unsatisfying, and maybe it was much more satisfying to unlock a new thing in the video game, to unlock a new secret, to have that sense of achievement.
My life's motivation was not actually pointed towards my goals. To a certain extent, I brought up discipline to still work, but I didn't feel that true hype, that true motivation to work towards my goals. But instead, I felt a motivation to just force myself to continue to work and then go back into the video game. My true life motivation was pointed towards the video game.
But like, how fanatical are you about video games?
Let's just say that I had to quit the game for a good going on a year now.
Which one?
World of Warcraft.
I remember waking up at 3 a.m., before school so that I could play video games, from Halo 3 to all of the Call of Duties to League of Legends. I was addicted, to say the least.
I would ask them what function the game was serving. I used to play a first person shooter online game, and I would play it irregular hours also. But one, I was in college, so I could. And two, I did it because the people I was playing with were all in Europe and they were on a different time zone. So just saying, I woke up at 3 a.m. If you weren't functioning at school, then clearly that's a problem. But it wasn't because there's something specific about the game itself. He even mentioned he was playing multiple different kinds of games. It was satisfying a need that I imagine is now being satisfied another way, because I'm just going to guess that all these people don't play games anymore.
Increasing my level in video games took priority over increasing my level in real life. I would be playing.
Oh, this dichotomy between games and real life. Nah, making me lose my voice.
Video games, and I would just try to fit in some work that would lead to something better, right? The priority was the video games. The work was just something I did in between.
I played World of Warcraft. Bad addictive.
Oh my God, it's the worst. Yeah, I almost flunked out of college.
I was gonna say, did it affect your real life?
It really, really did. It like hampered my entire social life, but it was worse for a friend that I introduced. We hadn't seen this guy for 3 years, but we all had a big meetup. We're like, go to B-Dub, let's get some wings. Me and Bob get there, and then this guy shows up, who wrist braced from double carpal tunnel, unable to flex his pinky fingers anymore, just like really bad shape, and it's because he literally plays World of Warcraft every day.
Oh my God.
Like, always.
What is it about World of Warcraft that you just got so sucked in?
I don't know. You start to get good, and then it's like I got into a guild, and a better guild, and then the better gear. And then
He's talking about that STT again, achievement, social connection.
and then I realized I was staying up to 2 a.m. just playing a game, and
Yep.
I was like, oh.
That was it. I was 13 years old. It's 7 a.m. For the first time I had seen the sun rise from being up all night. And then my guild kicked me out. I was crying on the floor as a 13-year-old, like throwing a tantrum by myself. And I realized, like, this is pathetic.
I started playing WoW.
It's not pathetic though, because it's meaningful and it means something. And that's some of the beauty about games, and it means something. Oh my God, Renee Gittins, who's a game developer who I admire, the former president of the IGDA, she was posting recently about how she's known her World of Warcraft guild for 20 years, and they do these in-person meetings, and it's some of her lifelong and closest friends. Like, it's not pathetic. The way that this, look, y'all, I'm only 4 minutes and 57 seconds in. I don't think I'm going to make it. The way this is framed is really upsetting to me as a woman of science. I'll just say it that way.
When I think I was around 12 or 13 years old, something around that age. I remember the moment it literally captured me straight away. And within the first 10 minutes of just joining this game, I was like, wow. As a young, impressionable boy at the time, just captured my imagination, and I was straight away addicted instantly.
I can't do it. Okay, I can't do it. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Look. It's really easy. Like I said earlier, humans are cognitive misers. And it's really easy to just say, I was playing all the time and it was unhealthy. I was addicted. It was the game because it was so engaging and compelling. But psychologically, if we want to use addiction in a clinical way in which it is used, what is happening is that games are being used maladaptively as a coping strategy for either you lack a sense of achievement in the real world and you're seeking it, or you're seeking social connection, or you're seeking a thrill, or you're stressed and overworked and you're seeking some relief. Like, it could be a lot of things. Videos like this, like, are doing such a disservice, because I think about the parents who have kids who are playing games, not that are suffering all these consequences. These are obviously extreme cases, but if you have I've talked to a lot of parents of kids who their kids are playing, they want to play Minecraft for 5 hours on a Saturday, and the parents are really worried, and that's fine. 5 hours is a long time to be playing, depending on the age, especially. But to jump to the fact that the gaming industry has made these things so engaging, and that is a problem, and now my child's brain is being transformed in this negative way and it's going to suffer all these consequences, is erroneous thinking. It is just factually untrue. The games are engaging. They are serving a purpose. We should talk to our children about why they're playing them. We should talk to these people. Don't say, oh, I was absolutely addicted. If you actually listen to the way they talk, oh, I had friends. Oh, I was in a guild. Oh, it gave me a sense of achievement. Oh, it gave me a sense of exploration. Oh, it was fun. I was at work and I wasn't fulfilled. And I was thinking about the game. There are all these other external factors and individual factors at play here, especially in these extreme cases. Now, for them not playing, maybe that is the best solution. And I'm glad that they went down that way. And if Kamader and the Game Quitters program helps them get there, that's great. But we got to stop pushing this narratives that games are addicting. The World Health Organization designated game addiction, what was it, 2019, 2020. And I think that did a real disservice at pushing the narrative forward, especially because if you were in the scientific community, you know there was this letter from scholars pushing back against the World Health Organization. A bunch of scholars signed it, like 50 or something, saying, you know, there's no evidence base to suggest this. Andy Shabilsky at the Oxford Internet Institute pushed the World Health Organization to release the information that led to the designation of game addiction. And they came back with a quote that said something to the effect of, it's difficult, if not impossible, to provide that evidence base, which is absolutely ridiculous. Like, you should be able to produce that evidence base. On the other side, the American Psychological Association has not designated game addiction because the evidence is not there. So this kind of cognitive misering, this lazy thinking about games and addiction, it's really doing a disservice in understanding what games are and what place they hold in our lives as sources of fun and engagement, entertainment, and connection. Again, for like the 100th time, I don't want to discredit people which games have served something not good for them. And I absolutely acknowledge that is the case in some instances. But this is... this is something. This is something. So that's my 2 cents. I made it 5 minutes and 17 seconds in. Not sure I'm going to watch anymore, but you know, for those people who wanted my unsolicited opinion, you now have it. Until next time, be excellent to each other and always cite your sources. You'll notice there were no sources in that video. Anecdotal evidence is not sufficient evidence by itself.